Good evening, Jamsters, and welcome to another edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast. Yeah, here we are. The first day of fall. Summer is officially over. We can kiss that baby goodbye. And wouldn't you know it, Matthew, by some weird twist of fate, news actually broke this morning prior to us recording, not tomorrow morning after we recorded. And we got a lot to talk about on this edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast. Welcome, Matthew.
Hey, what's up, John? I thought it was going to be like the teal jersey thing that was going to be released this week, but we got even better news. It's a great day in Arizona, Phoenix, in America, in the world. I mean, it's just, it
The
came
universe.
soon. It came quick. And now it's the demon's gone, and it's time for a fresh start. Everyone's feeling good, I feel like now.
Yeah, obviously, if you haven't heard, Robert Sarver had announced and made a statement that he would be selling the Phoenix Suns and the Mercury, and we'll go really in depth to that. But it was, I don't know about you, Matthew, but I was literally in a meeting. It was in between 9:30 and 10 because I had we have a meeting every morning at 9:30, and everybody's talking, and I get that little Shams Charania notification on my phone. I look down, and I just look up with like a shit-eating grin, and somebody across the room's like, "What's going on?" I'm like,
Yeah.
#Sarver out, and nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
They're like, oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little behind. I don't have Twitter on my phone anymore. So it's only on my computer, my monitors that I pull up every now and then. And I was a little late. I don't think I found out till like 2:00. So it's time to turn Twitter back on, put on my phone because the NBA is starting pretty soon. It's a month away. So I don't want to be behind on things like this. I feel terrible.
No, hell no. 'Tis the season. Notifications are coming through. And after I said, #Sarver out, and everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, the Suns owner, and then everybody knew what I was talking about. And that was the weird thing.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
no one, we speak two languages, right? I speak English and I speak Suns. And when I'm at work, I only speak English because I try to talk Suns with anybody I work with, and very casual fans at best. But everybody knows what's going on with the Robert Sarver situation. It's a huge news outside of sport. So it was interesting that once I was like, yeah, the Phoenix Suns owner was like, oh, you mean the guy who's a male chauvinist? And whenever you hear male chauvinist, it's just like somebody who's a little bit older. Anyone who's like under 45 calls them misogynistic, but like old school 65-year-olds are like, yeah, chauvinist pig.
First time I heard of it.
Right now. See, exactly. There you go.
Probably all it is.
Yeah, exactly. Just goes to prove the point. So, I mean, it was just, it was a good start to the day. It's a good start to fall. And, things are going to start happening pretty quick. Next Monday is Suns Media Day. Next Tuesday, the Phoenix Suns training camp begins. October 5th, we have our first preseason game against the Los Angeles Lakers. And in less than a month, on October 18th, the Phoenix, or is it 18th or 19th?
I just looked at it. I think it's the
19th. It's the 19th.
The 19th? Okay.
The 19th, the Phoenix Suns season tips off. We are less than a month away from Phoenix Suns basketball. How excited are you for that?
I'm excited. Football started. I was excited. We got 2 weeks out of the way. And now I'm just like kind of over it somewhere.
I kind of am too all of a sudden.
I'm not over it, but I'm just like, last Sunday, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to lay around and watch football day again. Like, this is the last Sunday. So I'm ready for basketball. I'm actually, this is a great way to start the season. I don't think you could have started any better way.
Seriously. It's just like, we're going to have not only a team that is entering the season with championship aspiration and hopes, but we also have kind of one of the villains, one of the dark spots of our team is being eradicated. And we're going to have this, it's almost like The Bachelorette, where the Phoenix Suns are handing roses to people, and we're trying to figure out who's going to be the final person who's ultimately going to own the team.
Yeah.
And we'll go over some, people who potentially we could think could own the team by the end of this podcast. But yeah, it's going to be a fun fall. And I'm with you. I'll lay around and watch football simply because of my sciatic nerve. It's the only way.
Because of your ass.
Yeah. My ass hurts. So I got to feel like I have to watch this football. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But on that note, again, welcome to another edition of the Suns Jam Session Podcast. We're excited and pleased that you're joining us once again. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. If it's on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. That is to say, you don't just click 5 stars. You actually write a review. We'll read it right here on the pod. That's what you get. That's what you do. That's the good deed that you
That's what
get
you
for
do.
doing a good deed. If you're watching along live on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and share it. Let your friends know, hey, this is what I do. I kick it with the Suns Jam Session Podcast. It's what I do. So on that note, I think it's time to crack open. I've got the Finnish long drink, one of my favorite drinks. I don't know. Have you ever had one of these, Matthew?
No, it's the first time I've seen one, and that's one
Really?
of your favorite drinks.
Yeah,
Huh?
I've popped them
I
on the
never
pod
knew that.
before. Oh,
Oh,
I
okay.
love these things. It's
Yeah.
5.5% alcohol content. On the bottom of the can, it says gin with natural grapefruit and juniper berry flavors and carbonation. And they
Okay.
have this one. They have a sugar-free version, and they also have a cranberry version. And every one of them is just
Don't
like,
do the sugar-free. Don't do the sugar-free.
yes,
Probably
yes.
nasty. Yeah.
Well,
I got one of these.
oh, you got the banquet beer?
Yeah, left
In a
over
can?
from Sunday. They brought me some corned beer, and I'm like, I can't have corned beer, but I'm gonna pop one open for today.
Let's
Definitely
go, Matthew.
Yeah, we're gonna celebrate a little bit.
Pop them if you got them. Hashtag Sarver out. Oh, yeah. All right. Plenty to talk about on this edition of the Jam Session Podcast. That's right. That's right. That's right. Robert Sarver is potentially out as the owner, the majority owner of the Phoenix Suns. Shout out Flex from Jersey's kicking it in the chat. Yeah, when we linking up, my guys, Flex, you tell me, man. You know you can come on the pod anytime. Shit, go on Twitter right now and DM me, and I'll send you a link. We'll get you on here. So,
Yeah, first
but
game.
of course, first game. I'm talking right now, man. I mean, this is a big moment for the Phoenix Suns. And, you know, again, for those of you who don't know, kind of the events that have occurred, right? I mean, last time that we had this conversation last week, there was a little bit of, you know, the pressure was starting to build, right? And when you look at this situation, Brian Windhorst had said it on, what's not the jump now? What NBA Today? That's what they call it now, like the post Rachel Nichols. It's NBA Today. And I happened to be home from work one day because, again, the sciatic, my ass was hurting so bad I couldn't go into work, I tells you. And I was just sitting around. I was watching NBA Today, and Brian Windhorst said something that I found was very interesting. And he's like, listen, this isn't the decision that we wanted, that a lot of people wanted. You know, 1 year suspension, $10 million fine. It's not really a sense of accountability. And the only way that essentially any change is going to happen is if you start to get some societal pressure. And that's what Windhorst said. And he said, unfortunately, you know, that kind of starts with the players. And it's unfortunate that in these situations where you have owners acting a fool, it comes down to the players having to be the people who have to spark the chain, you know, or the change. And it's just unfortunate, you know. That's how the process kind of goes. But then we saw CP3 and LeBron, right?
Yeah, we did. But did it happen before that? I think people did mention the Game 7 thing. And, you know, I go back to Chris Paul's press conference before that game and him talking about, hey, this is just basketball. Really weird press conference from him. Really weird reaction about, you know, Game 6 loss. It's like, hey, it's just basketball, you know, and we all expected to win in Game 7. But the way his body language on the up there was just not the same. And I'm like, This is something different, right? I mean, if you were to find out this news as a team, like, hey, this is what happened, and can you guys still play for this owner going into? Can you win a championship and have this owner come up there and get the trophy presented to him? Like, that's awkward as hell. And plus, you want to start, you know, doing the right thing. So, I mean, there was never a COVID thing, so I think that had to be something. It had to be something to do with that, because this just didn't make sense at all, that game. But I don't know. Did people talk about that being Game 7 the reason that they lost? I feel
I feel it was more of it was more of like the COVID situation. It was more of, you know, Chris Paul wasn't healthy. Multiple members of the Phoenix Suns weren't healthy. So I don't know if there was a direct correlation between the Sarver situation 4 months ago and the Phoenix Suns' poor performance 4 months ago. But I do know that in response to the Sarver situation, you started to see some of that societal pressure. You started to see LBJ and CP3 say, you know what? The league got this wrong. And then you started to see some of the political pressure. And it was kind of twofold. You had the city of Phoenix and the mayor, Kate Gallego, and her council members come out and say, kind of paraphrasing, they said that the league got it wrong as well. And it was an unfortunate decision. And at the same time, just hours after that, Phoenix Suns vice chairman and minority owner John, I always get his name wrong, John Najafi. He came out and he called essentially for his head. He said, I think he needs to resign. So now you have some of that political within the city of Phoenix putting pressure on the Suns, and from the Suns' internal organization starting to kind of infight about it. And then you have PayPal threatening to pull out. And there's the economical pressure. So you have societal, political, and economic pressure coming. And then after that happened, everybody just kind of, it's like, well, now it's completely on Sarver. Now all the building blocks to the destruction of Robert Sarver as an owner have been set in place. And now you think it's just a matter of time, but you're worried about his ego, right? His ego is going to keep him in place. That's what we all thought, right?
Yeah, he doesn't really know the situation too that is at hand. Like, there's always a little comment here and there, like, well, I mean, I have to do this because everyone's telling me to, right? He doesn't really realize what's going on in his head, and he's older. He's in his ways. He's not going to really change. I mean, people can change maybe, but I don't believe in change. I feel like someone can improve themselves, but he's already who he is. Like, I don't think there's much to change to where he could come back. I mean, is he even going to try to own another team? That's not what I'm saying, but just to be in the presence of people again, you know what I mean? Because he can't now go anywhere. He can't be.
He can't go to a restaurant at night.
He was hated already before this, and then now this happens. So how does he even show his face anywhere? And like Silver did mention though in the press conference where he said that the rebuke from the findings would basically kind of, in a way, he hinted that it would kind of, it would kind of just tumble. This whole situation would kind of just, the domino effect of him getting kicked out. And it kind of like, it happened, but it happened so quickly. Yes. So like, yeah, the 1 year sucked and then the fine, but if this was only done by Silver, just knowing like the way the league was and the way like sponsors would drop because no one puts up with this shit anymore. I mean, Miles Bridges is probably never coming back to the NBA, right? So no one puts up with this anymore. So he knew that, he's going to be kicked out. He's never coming back. Because we talked about last pod how awkward it would be if he were to come back. And I just didn't see that happening. That's just not, it wasn't going to happen.
No one puts up with the shit anymore, nor should they. And that's what's nice about this. And I talked about this, whether it was on this podcast or when I assisted on the Solar Panel podcast this last weekend. The NBA is a league that preaches equality. And yet you have somebody who is an owner, not only of the Phoenix Suns, but of the Phoenix Mercury, who is 100% non-equality. He's making racial comments and slurs. He's making misogynistic or chauvinistic comments. That's not equality. So how can you stand for this? And to your point, his life in this past week must have completely changed to the point where it's like in the past, he'd go out to his nice restaurants. You go out to Ocean 44 in Scottsdale and, it's high end and, oh, that's Robert Sarver. And, you'd sit there if it was like you and your wife and you'd be like, oh, that's Robert Sarver. She'd be like, who? And now it's like everybody knows who he is because of these comments. That's Robert Sarver. Oh, you mean the fucking racist, misogynistic pig who runs the Suns? Now when he's sitting at his table, people are kind of making comments. And to your point, like he didn't necessarily know the true ramifications of what was occurring and how to navigate those waters properly. And there is really no way to truly navigate those waters properly. Given the fact that he is a leader in an organization and he needs to be held accountable. And, so today the news kind of drops and, he releases a statement. First, you get the kind of the Shams Charania tweet letting us know. It's like, what did it say? It said Phoenix Suns and Mercury owner Robert Sarver announced that he has started the process to sell both franchises. Right. So, and then he goes into the entire statement. And, Matthew, I'll let you read the statement.
Please do. Please let me read it.
Oh, no. You know what? Just go for it.
Where's it at?
It's in the notes, bruh.
Oh, well, I copy and paste. Where are the friggin' notes?
Okay. to keep momentum going.
I'll get the next one, huh?
Sorry, my butt hurts. I got to move around here. The sciatic nerve is no easy task to to deal with. But shortly after the Shams case, he had a statement that was shared by ESPN's Baxter Holmes that said, Robert Sarver, managing partner of the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury, today issued the following statement. Words that I deeply regret now overshadow nearly 2 decades of building organizations that brought together people and strengthened the Phoenix area through the unifying power of professional and men's basketball. So right there, he's just like, well, look what I've done for you. As a man of faith, I believe in atonement and the path of forgiveness. I expected that the commissioner's 1-year suspension would provide me time to focus, make amends, and remove my personal controversy from the teams and the fans that I love. But in the current unforgiving climate, it has become painfully clear that it's no longer possible, that whatever good I've done or could still do is outweighed by the things that I've said in the past. For those reasons, I'm beginning the process of seeking buyers for the Suns and the Mercury. I do not want to be a distraction to these two teams and the fine people who work so hard to bring the joy and excitement of basketball to fans around the world. That's what I want best for these two organizations, the players, the employees, the fans, the community, and my fellow owners, the NBA and the WNBA. This is the best course of action for everyone. In the meantime, I will continue to work on becoming a better person and continuing to support the community in meaningful ways. Thank you for continuing to root for the Suns and the Mercury, embracing the power that sports bring us together. So there you go, Matthew. Thoughts on everything he just said?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that was forced. It was something that was definitely just, that was written by somebody else. I guess you can say that in a way, but with a little bit of an input. And it's so weird to hear from him because you think it would be so threatening to hear him say something. And like, it doesn't seem like he would be so genuine in a way, even though he did say like, hey, like, it's not completely all true in a way, but just him actually saying something about, hey, like I'm actually resigning, I'm going to sell this team. It's just so weird to hear. It still doesn't seem to be true because it's definitely not him. It's definitely not him as a person or whatever. He brought faith into that too, but it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you even bring faith into any of this? Like it has nothing to do with that. Like there's just so much damage he has done to the franchise, to the people that worked for the franchise.
Yeah.
And, just own up to it. And this is actually probably the nicest thing that I think he could have put out there. Cause I don't believe like he could ever say this in real life. Right. Can you imagine getting up and talking? What would be nice is just to have an interview with him. Maybe a couple of years down the road, just so you interview, be like, hey, so what the fuck happened? Can you just explain, your side of the story? I mean, of course, no one wants to hear it, but it'd be nice to hear like why he is saying where, in a cancel culture, you had to sell the team. Why? What's your side, man?
It's a great question. And you know what? I think it's a great time to bring in Flex from Jersey to talk about this one.
My boy.
What's up, man?
Flex, what is going on, man?
What's up, my guys? Man, I was just wrapping up a long day. I saw the pod jump on my phone. I said, let me listen to my boys. And look, we joining up. That's what's up, man.
It's a beautiful day in Phoenix Suns history, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is, man. People rejoicing, man. I mean, I know there's people partying out there in Arizona right now.
So tell me a little bit, where were you when you heard the news? Obviously it was, you're on the East Coast. It's probably like 12:30 your time when the news came through. Where were you when you heard it? And what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I was actually in the car driving. I was coming from William Patterson University, doing something with my son. And, yeah, I heard it, and honestly, guys, I wasn't surprised, man. I mean, I'd been talking to people, behind the scenes for a minute about this, and I never felt like the 1-year ban and the $10 million thing was really anything of substance. It just felt like a domino that had to fall first before the rest of them fell. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm a little shocked that it came as quick as it did. Maybe that's probably the only shock is that 8 days after the report. I thought he'd wait a little longer to wave the white flag, but totally expected, brother. So not really that shocked.
Yeah, you mentioned too.
Go ahead.
Okay. You mentioned too in the it was a Fox 10. Was it an interview earlier today? Yeah, there was a line lined up around the building, basically for potential buyers. That being true, is there anybody out there? I mean, I even saw Steve Jobs. I don't know. There's not Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is dead.
Yeah, I mean, guys, I'm hearing. I'm serious when I tell you. I mean, I've been talking about this with back channels all day. And I'm hearing it's going to be a line, like I said on the show, there's going to be a line around the corner like Black Friday, bro, to buy this basketball team. Real talk. And, whether it's Jeff Bezos, whether it's,
how sick would that be?
Yeah, whether it's Lorraine Jobs, a plethora. Bob Iger, the guy, the Oracle founder, what's his name? Oh man, I forget his name. I'm totally waxed right now, but yeah, he's another one that's in the mix. So there's a bunch of guys, and we're talking about we're talking about $100 billion guys. Larry Ellison, that's the guy.
Mhm.
Larry Ellison, old co-founder of Oracle. So between Ellison's worth $100 billion, dude. Bezos is worth $150 billion.
The Earth.
Yeah, Jobs' wife is like 12 billion, and the guy that's got the lower end of the totem pole in that regard is Bob Iger. I think he's worth like 650 million, but he's got the Disney connections and he's got a lot of people with deep pockets. So it's gonna be interesting, man. But I mean, I think we're done with the cheap owner stuff, right? So we need somebody that's willing to spend. That's what we're looking for.
Well, and you take a look at the identity of this organization. Taking a 30,000-foot view of the organization, which a lot of people do. We're people who are just really enveloped with this team, and we know the ins and outs of the roster. I mean, we're sitting there talking about Dwayne Washington Jr. and but from a 30,000-foot view, this is a great organization to buy. And to Flex's point, that's why there's a line around the corner. This isn't the Oakland Athletics, right? This isn't the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, granted, basketball ownership, the majority owner of a basketball organization, there's only 29 of them now in the league, until 30, until Bob Sarver actually is gone, but 29 in the league. It's a very, very elite status that people take seriously and really enjoy doing. And it's an easy investment because you're going to get a massive return on your investment. It's a league that's constantly and consistently growing. It's a league that's constantly and consistently modifying the way that they approach streaming, and I mean it's a technology forward situation, whereas like baseball is kind of one of those things. Like if you go and buy a baseball team right now, you might get a return on your investment, but it's kind of a dying sport in this modern age. And you take a look at the Phoenix Suns from that aspect, just being an organization in the National Basketball Association, and that alone is appealing. Then you take into account that this is a team that has been part of the city now for coming up on 55 years. It's a team that has had a ton of success, but not reached the ultimate pinnacle. So there's an opportunity to come in here and not only, to Flex's point, spend the money, but spend the money and help them win their first championship. And it's like an easy win, right? Like whenever you hire somebody who's new, like at least for me, if I have a new leader, if I have a new supervisor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them some easy wins. And that way they're going to gain confidence. Well, a new owner will garner our confidence if they come in and put us in a situation where we can be successful and win a championship. And we're already halfway there because this is a championship contender coming into the season. Right. So my real question, and Matthew, maybe you can answer this. Do you think that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney might have an opportunity to buy this team just like they did Wrexham?
That'd be nice. And if I could watch that show, it'd be even more awesome.
It's really a good show.
I had a name in mind. I mean, what about like a Derek Jeter? Huh? I mean,
he'd sell everybody to.
Yeah, I know.
He'd sell
talking
everybody.
I'm New York, baby. I'm Jeter all the way. So I love
awesome. Matthew, man.
I love
that's Matthew's guy.
How about Aaron Judge too? Let Aaron Judge get. He about to get $500 million, so he could.
Big contract, man.
Yeah, he could afford it.
But looking at this again, I'll ask Matthew. I'll start with this, and then I'll let Flex kind of answer this question. What do you think ultimately forced Sarver out? What was the kind of nail in the coffin? What got to this point in your perspective, Matthew?
I think it was just the players speaking out, and I think he just knew. I mean, if you think about Devin Booker and like him and Sarver kind of had a relationship, right? Just a little. I'm not going to say they hung out all the time, but they were seen together. But like he had to have not even known anything about this, right? For him to actually be hanging with the guys. So I think that the players found out. They said something to him, maybe behind the scenes, who knows? But once LeBron says something, and then once PayPal is going to be done with you, no one's going to be helping you out with endorsements. So I think that was it. And he's just like, oh wow, this is it. Whether or not someone actually told him like, hey, you're gonna have to take a step down. You have to sell this team, dude. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people said that, but for him to realize, it's just knowing he's not going to make any money with this team and no one's going to play, that it's going to be an empty building next year if he was still the owner.
What do you think, Flex? What was the final nail in the coffin in the Sarver saga?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of everything Matt just said. I mean, you got LeBron speaking out. You got Chris Paul speaking out. You got Draymond Green speaking out. You got the president of Players Association speaking out. You got PayPal ducking out. You got big sponsors like Verizon and other big corporations that are going to be like, hey, we want no part of this. Season ticket holders probably threatening. You start to look at the writing on the wall, and it's inevitable. It's like, listen, I'm going to hold on to something that is going to, he's already a penny pincher, man. So, yeah. I mean, you start to affect the guy's wallet, and it starts to make sense. Listen, let's be very honest, guys. He wasn't going to come back from this. The court of public opinion already put their verdict in. He was never going to live this down. And, like Matt was saying, you start to deal with the sponsors and other stuff like that, and it gets a little crazy. But let's be honest. The guy bought the team for $400 million. Mm-hmm. He put up 35% of that money. So I'm not a mathematician, but let's just call it $150 million, whatever. The dude's gonna make $1 billion on this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they're a championship contender. The person I think this can go to 2.5 billion, maybe even 3 billion, guys. I'm serious. There's gonna be a bidding war. And so I think you start to look at the writing and you're like, hey, you know what? If you're ever gonna sell the team, this is the time. It's all lined up. So. Unfortunately, the guy's gonna walk away with $1 billion for his services, right? But that's part of the business. So, but yeah, to answer your question, man, I think it was just pressure from every angle, and you can't get around that.
Well, I'm kind of to that point. You take a look at some of the recent purchases in the NBA. The Houston Rockets sold in 2017 for $2.2 billion. The Brooklyn Nets was $2.3 billion in 2019. Utah Jazz. I didn't realize they just sold in 2021. I guess I kind of knew that. But that was $1.6 billion. But that's the Jazz.
Smaller market.
And Phoenix is up there, to your point where, I could see this pushing $3 billion. And that's why, like I see, shout out to Sonia, one of our loyal listeners. She's like,
I love Sonia.
Yep, and she's talking about, why not Larry? Well, Larry don't have billions of dollars, right?
Right.
Like that's he's a great minority owner, but he can't be the majority owner, right? And I'm with you both. When you look at the final nail in the coffin, I ultimately think, as you both mentioned, money talks, and Sarver now walks because he sees an opportunity to go, you know what? I don't like going out to Ocean 44 and having everybody talk under their breath and look over me at the corner, and like. Even now the bus boy knows who I am. Before Sarver was, we knew Sarver, but now everybody knows Sarver, and not for good reasons. And if he can get out now and make a shite ton of money in the process, that sounds like something fucking Bob Sarver would do anyways. Now right. I guess a question I have, and I was thinking about this: is there any possibility that he could think that he's potentially doing this just for show? That he's just doing this to avoid the constant spotlight of negativity, only to renege on it at a later date when his suspension is nearly over? Is there any possibility, I tried to sell the team, but it didn't happen. And look at that, my suspension's up. Do you think that could happen, Flex? Or can we can we like just truly? What I'm asking is like, can I really celebrate the fact that he's fucking gone?
Yeah, no, I think it's done, bro. I mean, the people I'm talking to close, out here in New York by the league office, Adam Silver put out a statement. Once they go that far, it's point of no return, brother. And he was getting pressure internally. You got to remember this is a group of 30 people, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And people need to understand everyone's business is their business. Right, Robert's affecting the actual NBA at this point. The other 29 owners.
Yes, true.
And what happens, and I was told this, a couple of days ago. I was having a talk with one of my guys in New York, and he was mentioning how the sponsor stuff doesn't only affect Phoenix. So you'll have sponsors that are doing business with Phoenix, but are also doing business with other teams and other avenues in certain different lanes. Mm. And now they're telling that team, hey, if y'all keep this guy in your group, I don't want to be doing business with any of y'all.
Yeah, it's like PayPal. It's like the official whatever of the NBA. Right. They're like, well, we're pulling out of that because we don't want to be associated with this person or this league. So yeah, you're affecting other people's money. I get that.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
You forget that it is like a group. These owners, like it affects them, and that's like the last thing I thought about when this happens. Like the downfall for those guys if he stays in the league, because I don't know if they support each other, but it's all about money. And if they start losing money because of one owner, then nope, you got to go.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because that's actually the first thing I thought of when the news was first released is, oh, it's only a slap on the wrist because all these other owners most likely have skeletons in their closet that are very similar
to
those of Robert Sarver. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like
I meant like when he sold.
Well, no, that is a great point.
Yeah.
But like when it first happened, that's what I thought about. But to your point, Matthew, I didn't think about it on the back end of it ultimately being the pressure that caused him to leave. Is those same guys who are sitting there and they're just like, dude, you're bringing all this attention, and now what we're seeing is other organizations might feel that like, hey, people below us are now empowered to actually hold us accountable, and all they're doing about in Phoenix is talking about how shitty your suspension was and the fine. Dude, just go away, please. Because I say inappropriate things all the time around the workplace. And again, Sarver did some fucked up shit. I mean, you hear some of the stories, they're not good, but everybody's got skeletons in their closets, don't they?
Everyone, brother. And you nailed that. I mean, that's another conversation I had, last week I was having that talk, and it was like, hey, there's some stuff that can come out from a plethora of teams and other things, and it's getting too close to home. It's getting too close for comfort, and it's like, hey, Bob, listen, you might have to bail out on this one because you're gonna take a lot more people down. So, it's political, man. Listen, the NBA is a business, man. Yeah. It's a damn business, man. At the end of the day, it's a business. It's political. It's about money. There's a new CBA coming up. There's a new big TV deal coming up.
Massive TV deal.
And and what if you're what if you're talking about a big, massive TV deal and that TV deal doesn't get done because they don't want to be in business with a, quote unquote, misogynist, sexist, racist owner? You know what I'm saying? So it gets down to the nitty gritty, brother. And that's what it comes down to. So I think we're good, man. Go celebrate. Hey,
man. Well, one last question. I was thinking about this. That new TV deal is coming up, right? And obviously, Amazon has made a run at the NFL market, right? Thursday Night Football is now owned by Amazon. If you don't have Amazon Prime, you fucked. What if Bezos was to purchase the Suns, and you had, would that become a conflict of interest, or is that like actually beneficial? Is that an avenue to say, hey, like we're going to be showing, instead of the NFL or the NBA League Pass going through NBA.com, like everything's on Amazon Prime now, baby.
Dude, Go ahead, Maddie. Maddie.
You'd have book on every advertisement for Amazon. I think people would get sick of the Suns. There'd be Suns on TV every night, every time.
I'm gonna tell you what. I think that's an angle that, again, is stuff
I gotta write about that
hearing.
One for Brightside.
That is an angle. That is an angle that I think is going to play in Bezos' interest, because he's going to say, "Hey, let me into this club."
And let me take all of you with me,
and we can all come and have a lot of fun with my 150 billion and my Amazon network and this bit, So, I'm not a lawyer. I can't speak on, whether it is a conflict of interest, but I'm sure there are legal ways to get around that.
But I mean, think back to the days when Ted Turner owned the Atlanta Braves with TBS and whatnot, and they made them a national brand in the early 90s. Right. So, I mean, it's possible. God, Dave King, you're going to love the next piece I write about this. This is going to be good. Bezos, stop fucking with the moon or Mars or whatever, and come by the Suns, get in the NBA, and take this league to the next level that it needs to be. And all this is now possible because hashtag Sarver out.
Spend some money. Spend that money. In 2 years from now, it's gonna be nice, or it's gonna be like we're gonna look back on this era, be like, oh my god, we went through all of that for that long with this dude.
Yes.
Like, it's gonna suck like a bad relationship. You get out, you're like, oh, that was terrible. How did my family put up with this guy?
Guys, I believe in karma.
Yes.
I believe I'm a big believer in karma. I believe, what you put in is what you get out. I mean, y'all know what I mean. So
yes,
I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is just a feeling I got, man. How crazy would it be for the Phoenix Suns to win a championship?
I know this year.
First year.
Oh my god, it would be fantastic.
And it always had. You always see it. Like, I think it was Les Alexander won a
Mhm.
championship his first year buying the Rockets.
Yeah.
Like, look at what the Warriors did with when they came. They were a laughing stock of the NBA. Now they, they're a damn dynasty, and they were booing those Oracle guys, and they came in there, spent some money. So, yeah, I mean, crazy things happen, man. I wouldn't be the bit surprised if we get a new owner and wins a chip the first year. And man, people better watch out for Robert Sarver because he may lose his mind.
Man,
I don't think he would care because he'll have his billions. That's all he cared about, right? It wasn't about championships.
No,
I
don't think so, man. I honestly, the conversations I'm having with people that, I honestly think, the one thing I will say is when you get that much money, I don't think the money matters as much anymore. I think he's, I really think that this is hitting him tough because I believe the Suns were like his relevance. Like I'm
it's
Sarver.
his identity. I'm courtside seats.
Right.
I'm sitting there. I always said every time you go to the game, Sarver would be sitting there. He'd have some chick next to him who was on her phone the whole time taking the fucking selfies.
Well, like, it was Larry with him for like the last year.
Yeah,
it was just him and Larry. Like every game,
him and Fitz were there a bunch. But to Flex's point, like there's a bunch of people who are multimillionaires. There's a very few amount who are majority owners of an NBA franchise. It's part of your identity. It's part of the fabric of who you are. So that somebody with the ego the size of Bob Sarver to release a statement that clearly was put out by a publicist, and he still approved so he could put a couple passive aggressive like, look what I've done for you, Phoenix, and look at the way you're treating me, cancel culture. It's like, oh yeah, so you're just taking no accountability for your actions, no accountability for how you have, people have post-traumatic stress problems with some of the ways that you've treated them. Okay, no accountability for that. You're a great guy, but you know what? The culture's it's like, you know what, dude, just go away.
Yeah, and people think that might be
now.
That people might think that it might be made up with the post-traumatic stress. Like seriously, it's something in the workplace. If something happens to you, you have a leader, it can fuck up your whole life of how you work.
I've worked with somebody who was out to just get me. She was somebody who's known as a sue happy individual and was trying to set me up so she could go to like human resources and be like, look at the way that this organization treats me. I want to sue it. And I would never give her the ammunition, but you're on edge. It's, you're constantly just like, you're not comfortable and you can't put price on a peace of mind. And when you don't have a peace of mind, when you go to work where you should be safe, it's absolutely real. PTSD type shit at work is absolutely real, especially when it's coming from the owner of an organization who's worth millions of dollars and can have you hushed the moment they can. And if that person controls your destiny and he doesn't care that he controls your destiny, that's a whole situation that, again, it's the one word that defines it is toxic. And it's nice to know that after, going through 18 years of Sarver, okay, going through the valley of death, if you will, for that was the 2010s, and then having a culture with James Jones and with Monty Williams that is bringing players to this organization, that we are vetting the worst part of this organization, and we're all we can do is become a greater organization as of this day. That is something to be proud of. This is a great day for Phoenix Suns fans. It's a great day for Phoenix Suns fans.
You know what it's like, guy. Imagine getting your dream job. Imagine, you go to school, you do all the right things, you get your dream job. Your dream job is to work for the Phoenix Suns.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get there and it's a damn nightmare and you're so bad you quit.
Yeah.
Like, think of that. Think of somebody that's worked their whole damn life and they're like, hey, I'm working for the team I rooted for my whole life. I got this nice job with the Phoenix Suns. And then the environment is so toxic that they end up willingly just walking away. That's that type of burden. I don't wish that on anybody, man. So, there were people that did that. There were people that literally walked away and said, the hell with this.
Yeah, fuck my dream.
Right.
And they think it's that way. They think it's that way everywhere. They think that's the way it has to be. And that's the way people act in the work environment. That's what they think. Like, it's like, all right, we'll have to deal with it if I want to make it. You know what I mean? But that's going away quickly.
One thing that I'm very proud of in my professional life is I run a ship I run an inclusive environment where we have fun at work every day. And I can tell you that I have people who transfer into my area and they go, fuck, man, I didn't know it could be like this. Because I've worked in toxic environments where if there's situations, conflicts fester, whereas I approach all conflict and we settle it because we're a family, and that's the way it should be. And to Flex's point, there's people who, grew up dreaming to work for this organization and had to turn their back on it because of the way that they were treated. And those are the people that can't be forgotten in this. They can't be forgotten. And with Bobby Sarver stepping down, they won't be forgotten. And that's what's important. So I'm gonna do a quick transition now, because now that Bob Sarver's out, we're getting ready for training camp. We're getting ready to start this season. A championship run is in the future. And we got to talk about, and what I want to spend the back half of this podcast talking about is the fact that Brian Windhorst was reporting that the Suns are very active right now, and they're most likely trying to move Jae Crowder. So the first question I'll have for you guys relative to Jae Crowder, do you think it makes sense to break up the band and move Jae Crowder?
Yeah. Matt, you want to
fire away?
Yeah. I'll go first. I think that good memories were had with Jae Crowder. It sucks because now everyone on this team that plays with us within the last couple of years, it hurts when they leave. We love them so much, and they usually love the franchise. We're not used to that. So we never want to see these guys go away. The thing is with Jae, though, it's like, what else can you get in return? Can you get a guy? Can you get a shooter? Can you get Bogdanovic in a trade for him? Then yeah, it has to happen, because the Suns are a championship or bust team now. If we're not going to win the year before, then we're going to have to make some changes. And usually it goes to a guy like Jae Crowder, who doesn't stay on a team more than 2 or 3 years. I think the only way for Cameron Johnson to grow is in that starting role for the Phoenix Suns. I mean, he might not be ready yet, but he needs the time in there as long as he's healthy. And I'm sure Jae just doesn't want to deal with that. I guess that's what it comes down to. And he's going to have to go somewhere else. And I feel bad because we have so many good moments, but it's what they have to do to win, as long as they get something better in return.
You know why I don't feel bad, Matt? Because it's Jae that wants this.
Yeah.
It's not us.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had got wind about this early in the summer. Jae requested a trade a long time ago, guys. Why is
that?
Well, it's because he wants a contract extension. He's 32. He needs one more bag.
True.
And the Suns made it very clear with him. Hey, listen, we're transitioning into the Cam Johnson era and the potential of bringing in someone else via trade or blockbuster or something of that nature. So if you're cool being a good soldier and coming off the bench, then we're good. But if you're not cool with that, then we got to go our separate ways. The reason why Jae's not cool with that is he's saying, I can't get the bag. My best way of getting another contract is to prove that I can start for another team and do well in that role so I can get one last payday. And so, it goes back to the business. I'm not mad at anybody. I think the Suns are making the right decision. It's time to move on and upgrade the power forward position. And I think Jae is making a business decision for him and his family. He's saying, hey, I need one more bag, and off the bench playing 18 minutes a night ain't going to get it. I'm going to be a vet minimum guy after that. So, from that perspective, yeah, I think it's time to move on. And the reality is, guys, I'm going to be honest. I said this earlier. I'll say it again. My opinion is I believe the Suns should flip Jae Crowder for a first-round pick. I'm not trying to trade. I could tell you guys why. If you want to know, but
tell me why.
Opinion, I listen. First things first. I like Bogey. I do like Bogey. Okay, I like him. I don't love him, but I like him. I think he's a guy that can score. Do you take a step back defensively? Absolutely. Okay. The reality is, though, if you bring Bogey in, if he's coming off the bench, is he really Bogey? No. Like, is he, if he doesn't have the volume, is he really Bogey? So, he's also 32. He's on an expiring contract, $19 million. Here's the problem that I got, the biggest problem that I don't think people are talking enough about. If you trade for Bogey, you have to match salaries. That's Jae Crowder plus another rotational player. Somehow, some way, you have to match that $19 million. Utah wants a first-round pick. Here's why that deal hinders the Phoenix Suns dramatically. Because if they make that trade and they give up a first-round pick, you can't trade future first-round picks until that pick conveys.
Yeah. So
now when a real deal comes down the pipe for like a SGA or, the guy that I'm not even going to speak about because everybody goes crazy, but, if and when these situations are, if you trade that one first round pick, you could be prohibiting yourself from being able to trade other multiple picks in another deal. because again, it has to convey, and the Suns are not going to give an unprotected pick for Brody. So it's going to be protected with limitations. And if it says 2023, 2024, 2025, guess what? The Suns can't trade a first round pick until like 2029. And so that completely eliminates you from making a bigger deal later. It's one pick, but people need to understand the way the policies work. So I'm not with that. I'm not with a Band-Aid. I think the Phoenix Suns are in a position to go strike right now and put themselves in the spot to go get an actual dog that's going to be around for a long time, and it's going to help us short and long term. So I'd rather do that.
So was that kind of what happened with the Chris Paul situation? Because we traded for Chris Paul and we traded a first round pick, and then we were handicapped because we traded that first round pick, so we couldn't make any other moves until that pick essentially occurred. Okay, so
there you go.
That's
the handicap.
I am on the right track. Well, I'm with Matthew where there's a lot of great memories of Jae Crowder, right? From Salsa Jay to Fuck Jae Crowder. I mean, he had a great drop on the pod.
It's Jae Crowder.
You know, we're a fan. We love Jay. But again, business is business. And if you were to tell me that we had to trade one member of our starting five, he'd be the one I'd pick. And to Flex's point, he wants to go. He's made it known throughout the summer with his cryptic tweets, and he's in Miami and he wants to go home and all that stuff, and it makes perfect sense. 32-year-old player wants to get one last big payday, wants to prove that he can be a starter of the NBA, and it actually is it's something that the Phoenix Suns have an opportunity to utilize this to do a couple things, to fortify their roster, or to bet on, as Matthew mentioned, to bet on Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson's up for a rookie extension. Interesting how last year the Suns gave away a rookie extension to Mikal Bridges, didn't give one to DeAndre Ayton. The whole world melted all season. No one's talked about the fact that Cam Johnson hasn't gotten his rookie extension. No, there's radio silence on that. And so that tells me this is a prove-it year for the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns have gone to Cam Johnson and told him that. They're like, hey, like we believe in you, but they might have also said, like, we're going to give you an opportunity. We're working actively on trying to trade Jae Crowder, and we're going to give you an opportunity to take that spot. It's going to be on you. Based on your performance, you're going to have an opportunity to potentially stay here and get an extension and continue to be a power forward for the Phoenix Suns in a starting capacity. Or we're going to have to work out something else. Again, it's a performance-based league, and I think that's, again, James Jones, the way that he maneuvers, it's very, very smart. If the Suns move on from Jay, I'll start with Matthew. Like, what and who should they be trying to acquire? Are they trying to acquire his replacement or more depth? What are you thinking? Where should we go?
Well, just like Thomas Dennis says, Flex convinced me to get a pick. So I'm already I'm already on that. It's like, throw out the fake trades I had there. But Bojan, however you say his name. I hate saying his name on this podcast. Bojan. Yeah. You know what? That's always the number one. That's the one that is always talked about. Also, Duncan Robinson was the other name too. And I think, John, we had those two guys to talk about on this pod as, assets we can get back, because Duncan Robinson was one that Gamble was talking about early on, where it's like, you trade him for that, it's a shooter, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's like, no, like, we want Jay. But now that we know that Jay wants out, we need someone decent. And I don't know, man. I think it has to be something set up. Like you were talking about the pick thing. Is it just setting it up for like something bigger, like a bigger superstar out there? I'm always really dead set on like the Brandon Ingram thing of him wanting to be traded after Zion comes back. I don't know how much that has to do with the Suns or not, but I'm talking about like just him or someone, like even the Lauri Markkanen maybe traded, because he just got traded to Utah. He's not going to, I don't think he's going to stay there. He's a guy that I feel like you can add to like a championship contender and he can help out. So that's another name there too. But I'm going pick. If it means something bigger in the future, then, I'll wait. I'll sit and wait tight, or sit tight and wait.
You know what, guy? The first thing I'll say is I think the power forward position in the NBA is probably the most replaceable position. It's just one of those positions that we don't even have real power forwards anymore.
I mean, we've had Jae Crowder for the past few seasons.
Correct.
Case in point.
I think it's the easiest position to fill. I think it really is the easiest position to fill. What I think, I'm going to throw a name out here, and I've talked about this a little bit, and I know there's rumors, talking about this guy, but I'm going to tell you why I think this is an ideal guy. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I love it. Okay, so now this kid's 20. I'm going to give you all the breakdown. The kid's 25, 24 years old. He averages 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Okay. He's on an Oklahoma City team where he's 24, but he's the old guy.
Yes.
In the locker room. They're 19 and 20-year-old dudes. By the time that team is ready to compete, Shaq's going to be 27, 28. So that's a wasted contract in a market that can't afford to do that. And so I believe he's being shopped. I've been talking to people behind the scenes that have said OKC is absolutely looking at shopping him, same way San Antonio did DeJounte Murray. Okay, why he fits the Suns? Because you go to him and you tell him, hey, listen, you're gonna have the keys to the Maserati in a year. Like Chris Paul, this is probably Chris Paul's last year as a starting point guard in the NBA. Okay. You're already paid on a max contract. The kid is 6'6". I went back and looked at tape. He played plenty of 3-guard lineups in OKC.
Oh, a ton.
And he can play the 3. He can defend the 3. I think that answers all your problems. You have your short-term fix, which is an absolute bucket, who can play defense and do a multitude of things, create his own shot. And you answer the long-term problem because when Chris goes, you got your built-in point guard. So I think that's the type of move the Suns are looking at. I think when they make a deal, because I'm telling you guys, they're big fish hunting. They're gonna make a deal. And I believe that they're setting this thing up so that when the opportunity arises, they strike. That's why you get a pick for Jae. That's why you stack the cupboard. You say one more pick, So I think they're looking for a young guy that could fit into this core, short term and long term. A guy like Shaq makes a lot of sense, and I think the power forward position you could replace in a lot of ways. Let's not forget Dario's coming back this year, so he's going to do a little bit of that work.
So here's one guy I was thinking. I think this actually plays right into your narrative, Flex. I think you're spot on with that. The Suns, what they can do is they can trade Jae Crowder to a team in an effort to assist him, get him out of town, bring in probably a lesser talent, potentially an expiring contract, and bring a pick with him. Right? What about Cam Reddish?
Why not?
Cam Reddish, why not? Fuck it. $5.9 million a year. It's an expiring contract at the end of the year.
My water out. Sorry.
You almost spit your water?
Yeah.
Send Jae to the Knicks. Let him go play in the big bright lights of New York City. If he succeeds, bam, you get your bag. Add the fact that the Knicks would have to send back a first round pick with this. Know that they'll suck and it'll be a good one, and maybe that'll work. I don't know. What do you think, Flex?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm open. Listen, as long as you get a first round pick back, again, I think the power forward position is a position that's being downsized in the NBA, and I think you can. I mean, we may have the answer already in Cam Johnson. He may be the prototypical four.
He is the answer. He's actually going to take that nickname.
So, Cam Johnson may be the prototypical guy. So they may have the already built-in thing. I'm going to tell y'all a sleeper guy that I know the Suns are high on, that is already on the roster, that I believe they think is already the next Jae Crowder. Ish Wainwright. Trust me.
Yeah.
They like Ish Wainwright.
Oh.
They think he's PJ Tucker-like. Okay. They think he brings the scrappiness that Jae brings. He's more athletic, he's younger, and he shot the 3-ball all damn summer. Okay. So they're saying, hey, we can do this by committee. We can refill the 4 by committee and have that bullet in the chamber. So when that guy becomes available, we pounce on it. And now we're looking at a window that's 4, 5, 6 years wide open, as opposed to going for bogey now. And if you don't win, guys, this is the reality. If you don't win, if you make the bogey deal and you don't win, you handcuff yourself on a long-term deal as far as a trade. You lose bogey at the end of the year because you're not re-signing him, and Chris Paul's a year closer to retirement. So I think bogey's a disaster, guys. I don't want it. Unless we get bogey for expiring contracts in a couple seconds, I am totally against the bogey thing. And not because I don't like bogey, because I like the options that we have other than that.
I completely agree, man. Sold.
I see the PJ thing for sure. I really do. Yeah, we have our ideas, but you come on here and you have yours, and honestly, we get thrown off the ship.
Yours are better than mine.
No, they're always just SGA. I don't know why I didn't even think about SGA, because that's the pickup that I've been wanting. Like, he is a future point guard.
Remember draft night 2018, Matthew? You and I were sitting there, and of course the Suns had traded that day, and we knew that they had like the 10th pick or whatever it was, and SGA is getting closer. We had like the 14th pick or something. and SGA's getting closer. SGA's getting closer, and then bam, the Clippers had back-to-back picks, and they took SGA, and then the Suns, I forget who they took, but they trade. That's the one. Yeah,
that's
they
got
got.
draft.
Yeah,
they ended up getting McHale, but that's who'd they draft? Jarrett
DiVincenzo. Oh, Jared. No. They were supposed to draft.
Yeah.
DiVincenzo. Was it DiVincenzo?
Yeah, DiVincenzo. Yeah,
they were
that's the one
supposed
Gambo
to take
said.
DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And instead, and they had a deal for SGA. They absolutely had a deal for SGA. McDonough had a deal done for SGA. James Jones stepped in and Sarver and said, "We want Mikal." But that's a fact.
Another reason Sarver needs to be gone.
But I mean, it's.
I love Kel though. I love Kel.
Yeah,
I
no,
do too.
Kel's been
I love-
healthy too. Kel's
But
been
think
healthy.
about that. Think about that. If that could happen in some way.
Zaire. He's right. Zaire.
Yeah, Zaire.
I'm sorry.
Zaire. That's right. The kid from Texas Tech. Right?
Zaire Smith. Correct.
Was
I
he
think that's who the
Texas Tech kid?
Suns fans wanted. That's the one that got traded.
Yeah,
He's
he was
not
the
in
real. He was the
NBA
real
anymore, right?
skinny.
He was
kid
the
who's just like-
actual. Zaire. He had a bad injury out in Philly in his career.
Yeah.
That's
But,
right.
but
Zaire
that's the guy.
Smith.
Gambo said DiVincenzo ended up being Zaire Smith, and then we made him.
And we traded it. Yeah, we traded it for McHale. But think about that. If we could somehow get SGA here, you have 3 of the shining stars from that 2018 draft, and all of that to take down Luka.
But not these shining stars.
But not the shining star of the draft.
Exactly.
Right,
You know, because
right.
Trae Young, who cares? You know, he can just keep not playing defense in Atlanta. And, you know, I kind of feel bad for Trae Young because they're constantly trading the pieces around him in so frantically to try to make something work around him that they're not allowing the one thing that the Phoenix Suns have done, and that's they've developed chemistry throughout not only the starting lineup but the organization, and that's what makes you ultimately successful is that chemistry. I mean, look at the Warriors. The Warriors are the definition of why chemistry is important because over the last 6-7 years, they've won what 4 or 5 champions. It's ridiculous, and that but that's
count, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I try not to count them. Count them. Jeez. What else we got to talk about before we get out of here, man? I mean, it's a great day for the Phoenix Suns. I know initially we were going to do our preview of the Southwest Southwest Division. We'll do that next pod, Matthew. Too much awesome stuff is going on with the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
I think we're recording next Wednesday. I'm going to be at Suns Media Day on Monday, so that'll be fun. I got to think of some questions to ask people, like.
What are you going to wear?
'cause
You have your outfit planned out?
Yeah, I go to work afterwards, so I'll just be in a polo and some
You're
dress
not going
slacks.
to work, dude.
Yeah, I am.
You're going to call out. You went to
Yeah,
Suns
right.
You're going to go to Suns Media Day and go to work? I would not go to work. I'd just call out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go tell everyone, and
Celebrate.
everyone will be like,
That's a call out day, brother. That's a call out day.
"Yeah,
You'll be there. You'll be there.
That's a
long
call
enough
out
to
day,
do
brother.
anything.
Hey, start getting the migraine right now. And just
Yeah,
you gotta-
oh,
you
that's-
gotta
That's,
get
I-
the
that's my thing, man.
Yeah, that's Matthew's. thing. I'm having like sciatic nerve issues in my
Oh,
left
talk about
ass
your ass
cheek,
again?
so it's just like,
Oh, man.
man, I'll
I've had those.
dude, it's unbelievable.
I've
When-
had 3. I've had 3 back surgeries, so yeah,
my
I know
God,
what that's like.
when is it gonna
Yeah.
stop, man? When's the
Never.
pain gonna stop? God,
Start
Man.
doing yoga. I'm telling you, I can
I
come over
try.
there,
It
stretch you
hurts.
out.
I try. I do like downward dog, and even my dogs look at me and just
Yeah.
be
Hey,
like, dude,
my man Thomas, you see that, Thomas?
yeah. Look at that. It
You
says
see that,
flex on the
Thomas?
side of the hat.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that's my man Thomas shouting out the hat, so I gotta give him a shout out.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Well,
Sorry, guys.
no, don't be sorry at all. We appreciate
No,
you
you're
taking
good.
some time,
Nice
popping on here. The celebrity of Fox 10 is on with us. Look at you, man. You're like fucking
Nah.
everywhere now, dude. It seems like it was just like yesterday. It was like 3 a.m. You, me, and Dan Duarte were sitting on a call, like a
Oh,
6-hour
man.
like Zoom call during the fucking pandemic, just shooting the shit about
Yeah.
the Suns. And look at you now, man. You're all over the place. Tell
Hey, man.
tell everybody every place they can find Flex.
Oh man, listen, just stick to Twitter, man. Just stick
There
to
you
Twitter
go.
because that's it. Flex from Jersey on Twitter, man. And yeah, hold up, bro. I'm losing count, man. I'm
The Believe
exhausted, but-
Network,
yeah,
Coast
man,
to Coast
it's
Pod,
coast to coast, Believe,
PHNX, the Flex
we-
Appeal.
right here on the Suns Jam
Suns
session,
Jam
man.
session.
Like, hey, I love y'all, man. It's been long overdue, man. I always follow y'all and check y'all out, man. I'm glad y'all invited me up today. And we got to keep doing this. Monday's the season starts Monday, basically, man.
Yes,
So
sir.
whenever y'all need me, man, y'all just reach out and I'm on. I love you guys.
No, of
Yeah,
course.
we
We'll-
really appreciate it, man.
we appreciate you popping
course,
on.
man.
Matthew, can you tell everyone where they can follow you
Yeah, Matthew Lissy.
and at
That's
Jamsterdam?
about it. I'm not even
And,
on I'm not even on Twitter. I'll get back on though. And Flex, you're the only one I have the notification for during the whole Kevin Durant everything. You're the only one I had on there, dude.
That's love, bro. That's love. That's love. People still hate me for that, but I'm just trying to do my job, man. Just trying to do my job, man.
Have you ever watched It's Always Sunny? The show where the will's given away and they're yelling at the lawyer like
come on, man.
How dare you give him the money and stuff? He's like, I'm not. It's not me.
It's not me. I'm not physically giving the money. I'm just letting you know the information. Like, do with it what you will. No, we appreciate you, folks. You can always follow me at Darth Voida on Twitter. Make sure you follow the show at Suns Jam. We'll be live on Wednesday, and who knows, we might do another episode in between then because it's time to start getting back in the swing of things. You know, we go post game every night, and you know it's nice. Those July episodes suck, Matthew. So anyone who watched and listened during, it was brutal. It was brutal. So that's in the past. Another Suns.
Respect to y'all. Respect to y'all for doing that, man. Y'all grind.
Yes, sir. So the grind begins. So again, everybody, thanks for joining us. And Matthew,
go home and love your family.
Take care, everybody.